Well, hey folks, Real Honesty with John Ritland's another countdown, top 10 underappreciated wrestling announcers. I have done various shows about worst wrestling announcers, best ones, and all in between for the last 3 years, like, off and on, stuff like that. And I figured it was time to talk about some of the ones that really deserve to be talked about a lot more in a positive light. Sure, they may not be perfect, no wrestling announcer is, except Mauro Ranallo and Jim Ross. Those two are perfect. At least in their prime. Mauro in his prime now, and JR in his prime especially. And then Gordon Solie and a few, Bobby Heenan, Gorilla Monsoon, a few others. But there are some others that deserve to be talked about just as much. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. A couple honorable mentions. Michael Cole, during the time when the first brand split happened, him and Taz were a dynamite team. And when Cole wasn't being overproduced like crazy, he actually was a goddamn good commentator. He even did great shit on the first episode of the Mae Young Classic, because at the time of recording this, the second episode hasn't aired yet. And actually did well in the UK stuff. The point is, when he's not being yelled at by a 70,000-year-old roided up freak that in his headset, he actually is a decent commentator. He's not great, but he's at least a decent commentator. But anyway, Tom Phillips also, I think Tom Phillips gets a bad rep. I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's that great, face fucking aside, but he is, he's not a bad commentator either. Anyway, now we move on to the top 10. Number 10, Rocky Romero. Rocky Romero won me over as a commentator with the work that he did with Kevin Kelly for the New Japan G1 Climax, insert joke here, for the Climax, and he really impressed me. Rocky Romero's a very good wrestler, and also a very good commentator. Him and Kevin Kelly had dynamite chemistry. Would love to see, Rocky Romero on more shows do some English commentary. Now, I don't want him to give up wrestling until he's ready, but him and Kevin Kelly could be a great team for a number of years. Like, they just really are that damn good. And Rocky, with his extensive knowledge, being in the wrestling business for a number of years, I think since about 2000 or at least about 2003, he's wrestled for a number of years, tag team wrestling, singles wrestling. He knows how that shit works. And he can lend a lot of credibility to the G1 Climax shows. So can't wait to see when he starts doing more commentary for more of these shows. Number 9, Taz. Taz, not necessarily in his TNA Impact Wrestling run, but in his WWE run. Especially until about the ECW. He did start to become more of a character and everything at the end, but he was a really good commentator. He was ridiculous. He didn't make a lot of sense with a lot of his comedy. He didn't really make a ton of sense with a lot of shit he talked about, but he was still really entertaining for a number of years. And because he wrestled, he was able to offer a different view on everything. And, in wrestling and stuff like that. And it thankfully kept him from being paralyzed in the ring, because he kept having neck issues. So that's why he got out and started doing full-time commentary. And his time in the ring really lent more credibility to how he was able to call some matches, like when he was able to call Kurt and Brock matches, and call, Guerrero matches, Benoit matches, and stuff like that. And yes, he would say stuff like Rocket Buster, Yam Bag, all that stuff. But it was funny. And he actually could come up with some pretty creative stuff. He knew how to get some laughs out of people. And again, him and Cole were a really good duo. And Taz deserves a lot of credit for that, especially their time on SmackDown. Number 8, Randy Savage. I know, don't turn off the video yet. I liked Randy Savage on commentary. I was going to put Roddy Piper on here, and I love Roddy Piper. His stuff when he was in Mid-Atlantic was actually a lot better. His WWE stuff, it was alright. I liked Randy Savage on commentary on Raw. I just thought that he really could. He lent a lot of energy to it. Sure, was he the best? No. Was he the best wrestler turned commentator? No. He was a bit better than Taz, in my personal opinion, even though he was only on commentary for about a fraction of the time that Taz was. I just found Randy Savage entertaining. And yeah, he could put over feuds well and had a lot of energy to him. Sure, was he perfect? No, he was not. And I get why people maybe were down on Randy Savage being on commentary, and why they maybe didn't think he was all that good, and that's fine. You guys are entitled to your own opinion, no matter how wrong it is. Kidding. Some of the best people that I know actually have this opinion where they don't care for Randy Savage on commentary, and that's totally fine. I do. I find him entertaining. That's why he's here on this list. Number 7, Austin Aries. The brief time that he was injured after that orbital injury due to a botch from Shinsuke Nakamura. Well, a bad kick and everything. It wasn't Nakamura's fault. It was an accident that happened, basically. Aries really just damn good. He was so fantastic on commentary. The knowledge he had of cruiserweight wrestling, and just the fact that he was okay. He may have been, coming across like a bit of a dick, but he was also hugely entertaining. Like one of the classic things he would always say, it's like, well, if I have to, I'll stick my thumb in his eye. Morrow's like, what would you do in this situation? How many times do I have to tell you, Morrow? I'd stick my thumb in his eye. That was entertaining. And I forget what exactly led to it, but Aries just, the gift that's like there, it's like, Aries is like, this, it's all I got, this. Just he's like confused. And that was entertaining. He wasn't on commentary, I think, any longer than like a few months, but he deserves to be on here. I don't think a lot of people truly appreciate him on commentary until after he got back in the ring. And don't get me wrong, he's still great in the ring. He's doing great shit in Impact and other shows that he's on. But his time on commentary, he was really, really good. Like, really good. Number 6, Eric Bischoff. I like Eric Bischoff on commentary. I think Eric Bischoff really did. He knew more about wrestling than some people give him credit for. I'm not saying he knew a ton about it. He did know how to market it pretty well. Yeah, okay, the money and that kind of stuff, and stuff with Turner got out of control. That's to lay at the feet of a lot of people. Bischoff on commentary, like whether it was on any pay-per-views, mainly on Nitro, the stuff that he was able to do. Him, Tenay, Shivani, but him and Shivani, he really could do well. Like Bischoff could play off a lot of people and get some matches over and everything and plug some stuff, and he was able to keep a good flow to it. Even though they were doing live TV, and they had never done live TV, only live pay-per-view, he really was very good. Now, yeah, when he became the NWO shill and stuff like that, it started to get a little ridiculous and everything, and he was just a character and this kind of stuff. But I liked Bischoff even before he turned heel, but even after he turned heel. But his stuff leading up to that, he was really good. And he actually could speak with seriousness, and I did like Bischoff on commentary. That's my personal opinion. Just my personal opinion. But anyway, number 5, Dusty Rhodes. There's one line where Bobby Heenan's talking to Dusty about this one thing. I think it was an Otani versus Eddie Guerrero match. And Heenan says to Dusty, say you're Eddie Guerrero. What are you thinking? He's like, I'm thinking I lost a lot of weight, brother. And I don't know why that line makes me laugh. Just Dusty on commentary is just hugely. He made no goddamn sense. He made none because he was a dream. He didn't need to make sense. He was just entertaining. He was just the lovable, nutty guy that he was. That was a great NWA champion, great NWA US champion, and a living legend at the time. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, and I think I speak for many fans when say I miss Dusty every day. And I know NXT misses Dusty every day. His influence is still felt even 3+ years after his death. His time on commentary, especially in WCW. I don't think he did that much in WWE. I think he did some in NXT. But I know that he did commentary in WCW quite a bit. And he was entertaining. Him with Heenan and Shivani and Tenay, it just absolutely great. And it's like there's one point where I think it's like Tony Schiavone said German suplex, and Dusty, would you stop it with that German suplex? I can't really do a Dusty impression, but like it's just suplex, Tony. I gotta include some bars from Heenan there, but Dusty really was just entertaining. Even if a lot of the shit didn't make sense, you can't say that it wasn't entertaining. He didn't lend a whole lot to that commentary team. Being the living legend that he is at the time, I mean, the American Dream, he absolutely deserves his place on this list. Just for entertainment factor alone. Number 4, Tony Schiavone. Admittedly, in years past, I had been harsh on Tony Schiavone. That was unfair of me. Tony, yes, did become a caricature and everything by the end, because I think at that point, and I mean, this is just a guess of mine, maybe he just got burned out by it. because WCW was going down the shitter, which is unfortunate. Still wish WCW had been able to keep going, but no, Turner didn't want to be, AOL didn't want to be known, AOL Time Warner didn't want to be known as the Wrestling Network. But anyway, Tony Schiavone, especially his earlier stuff, to about 98. Once it got to later WCW, no one could save that. I mean, and he was just calling what he was calling and everything. And I'm not going to say the whole, that'll put butts in seats in a negative way. He was told to say something. He said it, and he did his job. No fault. I will be doing a reflection, by the way, on the Raw Nitro from January 4th, 1999. I'll probably record that sometime later, December and everything, because that's the same day that Wrestle Kingdom's happening, and yes, I'm going to be watching Wrestle Kingdom. But anyway, back to Schiavone. His earlier stuff being whether he was an interviewer just interviewing the Horsemen and the various stars, or being on commentary. Him and Jesse Ventura were very good. They were very good. Some of Schiavone's best calls were during the 1990 Royal Rumble, like especially when Hogan and Warrior had their stare down during that match. He's like, my God, there is not a person sitting down, and just the way he said it. You'd have to go back and watch it to understand it. And yeah, you had the whole meme thing. This is the single greatest insert word here in the history of our sport. And that stuff. But Schiavone, still entertaining. And he did know his wrestling. He really did. He did love wrestling. He did appreciate it. I don't know if he's still doing commentary. I know after WCW went down, I think he did a little bit like XWF, which was the short-lived promotion. I think Jimmy Hart and Hogan started, or I think it was Jimmy Hart and somebody. And that only lasted a few episodes. But Schiavone really was good. Really was good for a number of years. He honestly was. Meme-worthy stuff aside, because he was just trying to promote the show. But yes, I do variations sometimes on Twitter of this is the single greatest insert word here in the history of our sport. It's not a way to insult Schiavone. Actually, for a while, Tony Schiavone had me blocked, and thankfully he unblocked me. Because I have nothing against Tony Schiavone. He was, and I'm sure still could be, if he wanted to do wrestling commentary on a regular basis, I kind of wish WWE would bring him in a little bit. I think that if he was brought up to speed on the product, he'd be good for SmackDown. I'm not saying be good for NXT, because that's Mauro, Nigel, and Percy doing that. I think Schiavone could do pretty well. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But I thought he was pretty entertained. So, number 3, Bill Mercer from WCCW, World Class Championship Wrestling. You really need to watch the documentaries and older footage of Bill Mercer to just understand the gravity of what he could lend to something. His words, the way he spoke, he could call a match well, plugging programming and stuff like that, and doing well, and really lending a lot of emotion. I mean, it wasn't just the tributes. He could lend a whole lot to like the Von Erich Freebird rivalry. Not that you need to lend too much to it with those great talents involved and the great passion that they had. But even the most meaningless feuds and the smallest stuff, Bill Mercer was really good. Really, really good. I wish WWE had inducted him in the Hall of Fame. And I know he never worked for them, or at least not that I'm aware of. But Bill Mercer really was good for a number of years. And often gets forgotten about. And I think Bill Mercer needs to be remembered more as being a really, really good announcer. That's why I ranked him this high. Because I can appreciate like some of the world class championship wrestling programming that I've seen. Bill Mercer's commentary to me is just as big of a part as the in-ring action. He really is that good. Number 2, Mike Tenay. Look, people could argue with me ranking him above Bill Mercer. Mike Tenay gets a bad rap. Mike Tenay is not a bad commentator. He was good in WCW. He was really good in TNA. Him and Don West. I almost put Don West on this list because I didn't think Don West was that bad. Him and Mike Tenay were a good team. Mike Tenay did know a lot about wrestling. I'm sure still does. And really was one of the TNA originals that kind of should get talked about more. I mean, I know it's Impact now, but just back then, TNA, he was somebody that really did lend a lot to any big match. Him and Don, of course, marking out like 2 internet marks and whatever, or smarks, was both ridiculous but also endearing at the same time. I just like Mike Tenay, the way he said things, the way he presented things, and he could spout off facts, but still call the moves, still plug the programming, and he could do it with a good flow. He knew how to hype up somebody's debut. He hyped up Samoa Joe. He hyped up, the whole thing with Samoa Joe and Jushin Thunder Liger at Bound for Glory 05. Various other things like that. Mike Tenay, really good for a number of years. I'm not saying he should be commentating now. I think Impact has to move in another direction. But Mike Tenay is another one. If you want to put him in the Hall of Fame for an announcer, he was pretty good. There are others on this list that should be inducted way before him. I like Mike Tenay. That's just my opinion. Number 1, Kevin Kelly. Now, look, this may be a bit of a controversial choice because Kevin Kelly is currently calling New Japan. I believe also calling Ring of Honor. Or he was calling Ring of Honor. Because I think he's just calling New Japan now. But he really, really is damn good. WWE made a mistake letting him go. Like they really did. Now, I mean, it's a benefit to New Japan, and I mean, they even call Ring of Honor stuff. It's a benefit to the entire wrestling industry that he was let go because he's able to make his own way and do some great things for other companies. But WWE had one of the most dynamite commentators on their hands and let him go. Now, some people may find this controversial. There are some people that do not like Kevin Kelly. That is totally fine if you don't. This is my list. That's why I'm doing it. But Kevin Kelly, his time in New Japan, just the brief time I've been able to watch it live, easy for me to say, from Wrestle Kingdom this year to now, anytime there's English commentary, I'm like, great, Kevin Kelly. Even if it's just Kevin Kelly calling it, and there's a wrestler sitting in, like David Finlay, Chase Owens, or somebody. Him and Rocky Romero are a really good team. People say Kevin Kelly and Don Callis are really good. Callis, to me, kind of annoys me. And not in a heelish way. He just kind of annoys me because besides when he really was emotional about Kenny Omega winning the IWGP title, he seemed to be making it more about himself than putting the talents over. That's just my opinion. But Kevin Kelly always putting over the correct stuff, plugging into WWE.com, having an extensive knowledge of the moves and the rivalries and stuff like that. He's everything a commentator should be, and that's why I'm going to rank him number 1. I think he's underappreciated. I can understand if people don't like him, but let me know some underappreciated announcers that you think that I should mention. Let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll do a part 2. Anyway, like, share, subscribe also. It's been Real Honesty with John Rittland, and I will see you soon.